Good morning. Hello, everyone. I'm Councilmember Arredondo-Savage. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule, out of your business schedule, to participate in this morning's roundtable. Our businesses are so important to our community, and I truly believe that they are the fabric that helps transform just a location on the map into a community that we all really love to be a part of. We could not achieve our sense of community without business owners and employees like you. Employees and owners that dedicate their expertise, energy, and livelihood to their pursuits. You make our city a better place, and I'm here to tell you that it's a two-way street. Today, we want to learn from you and present you with ways that the city of Tempe and our partners can help your business during these challenging times. I think we all know there's no question that it's been a struggle for many of our businesses since March. We haven't been able to connect in person for a long time. It's important for all of us to know what's going on in your business community, to share the resources that we have that can help, and to get ideas from you, new ideas of things that we can continue to explore. I really appreciate this opportunity and look forward to the conversation. So here's a little bit about how things are going to go today. We're going to listen to presenters from 6 really incredible Tempe business organizations. We will take time in between the presentations to address a few questions that you may have. Then we will finish the presentations and have final opportunities for additional questions at the end. Some of you may have already in advance, thank you, sent in questions to my council aide, Tim Gomez, and we will definitely read from those. And if you have questions you haven't already sent in, please type them into the Q&A chat area. We will share those as well. Please be sure to let us know within those comments if you know who you want your question to be addressed to, if there's a specific organization you'd like to hear from, please put that in there also. So I think without further ado, again, I really do appreciate the opportunity here today. Thank you in advance to all of our presenters who really do care about this community, about our business community, and are working very hard to make sure that we are all successful. So first, I'd like to take a moment to introduce Brian McMartin from the Tempe Tourism Office. And many of you may not know, but in 2018, more than 4 million people visited Tempe, generating about $851 million in revenue. Obviously we know this year is going to look a little bit different than that, but we are so proud of the work and our partnership of the Tourism Office and can't wait to hear more about how they are working to help our hotels and our destinations. So to get us started, Brian, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Arredondo-Savage. And yes, this year will certainly look different than prior years. Anyway, how important is tourism to Tempe? Well, as the destination marketing organization for Tempe, we get to see firsthand how tourism really is an integral part of the Tempe regional economy, and the industry makes significant contributions to our economic viability. As was mentioned, in 2018, Tempe welcomed 4 million visitors to our city. And those visitors spent over $851 million in our community, supporting our restaurants, hotels, retail shops, arts and cultural events, attractions, etc., all small and large businesses alike. Tourism in Tempe also generated $143 million in tax revenues, including over $43 million in county and local revenues. Those taxes generated by tourists saved the average Tempe household more than $1,200 each in state and local taxes. As well, the tourism sector supported 9,300 jobs in Tempe. That means 1 in 14 jobs, or 7% of all jobs in Tempe, were sustained by tourism. Tourism is a vital part of the fabric of our community. However, we all know what happened in March, and like all things, the COVID pandemic caused the bottom to fall out. Next slide, please. There we go, thank you. From this slide, you can see the disastrous effect COVID-19 has had on just simply our hotels. The blue lines represent 2019 results, and the yellow lines represent this year, 2020. 2020 was basically mirroring 2019. However, we all know what happened. And you can see the dramatic slide that began in March, which carried on into April, where we hit bottom. Occupancy in our hotels in March went from a typical 88 or 89% occupancy in 2019 to just 47% this year. A little over 88,000 hotel rooms rented this March, with 47% less than the 167,000 in March. Excuse me. in March 2019. And in April, things were the worst. Occupancy for the month was only 20% compared to almost 78% in April of the prior year. And only 31,000 rooms were rented, where there were 141,000 rented in 2019. Almost 3,700 less rooms were rented per day in our hotels this April. You can see how these declines led to the dramatic fall off, fall off in hotel room revenue and bed tax revenues normally generated. So aside from the hundreds of hotel employees that were laid off or furloughed, there were several hotels that closed in March, and many remained that way until a couple reopened in mid-May. The Moxie Hotel reopened on July 24th. The Mission Palms will open on August 10th, and the Graduate is due to reopen on August 12th. There remains a couple more that we haven't heard yet from, which we hope will open soon. Making things a bit more challenging is the fact that new hotels are also opening in Tempe. Good and bad news. The Canopy Hotel by Hilton opened in June. The Hyatt Place and Hyatt House hotels will end up open this month, and the Westin Tempe is slated to open in April 2021. The results I just shared relate to the hotels, but the ripple effect throughout the hospitality community makes it much more severe. An extremely difficult time for tourism and in turn for Tempe. Anyway, the good news is that you can see from May and June results that things are improving. Still far from where we were, but moving in the right direction. From 20% occupancy in April to 30.2% in May to almost 39% in June. As the destination marketing organization of Tempe, what is Tempe Tourism Office doing to help? With the next slide, please. Well, one thing we did was we developed a summer staycation campaign, and I've been actively promoting it. It started in June and is running through August 30th. We're focused on Arizona only for this campaign, and our messaging is social plus distancing, showing that Tempe you can do them both. Campaign includes e-newsletters and banner advertising in Phoenix, Northern Arizona, and Southern Arizona, those markets, utilizing azfamily.com, AZ Parenting, Raising AZ Kids, and Right Choice Digital. We're also utilizing outdoor billboards in the Phoenix metro area. Maybe you've seen those. We're also utilizing radio, working with 3 intercom radio stations doing promotional spots in Phoenix, Northern Arizona, and Southern Arizona markets, promoting the Tempe staycations. We've also got radio spots that are showcasing 20 hotel Tempe businesses with a welcome back to Tempe message. Partners like House of Tricks, Pedal House Brewery, Cactus Sports, Tempe Marketplace, and on and on. We're also working with Univision Spanish Radio, running promotional spots in Spanish, promoting Tempe staycations on 3 of their stations. And we're working with Expedia.com in the Los Angeles market, targeting those travelers who are searching for Arizona, Phoenix, Mesa, etc., with a dedicated Tempe landing page featuring Tempe-only hotels. Next slide, please. We've also been active online and with social media. Marketing communications efforts included producing new blog posts and creating videos to promote to locals. Blog posts featuring pickup, takeout, dining, and delivery, outdoor activities, Tempe murals, and cool summer treats have been the most popular. The hashtag Breathe with Tempe nature scene videos we conducted have also been popular. And a total of 4 summer staycation packages have been given away on Instagram, featuring a video of our partners who are included in the giveaway. Package includes a hotel stay and gift cards for activities and dining. Pay-per-click advertising is being conducted on search engines and social media platforms, focusing on, again, the locals. We listed 3 virtual tours for travel writers, with more of them planned in the near future. And our group sales team has been in regular contact with meeting and event planners and our local partners throughout the pandemic. Next slide, please. As for what's next, well, most surveys show that the regional leisure market will be the first segment of travel to return. Therefore, we are planning to forego our typical longer fall markets in the fall and focus on the markets within a 600-mile drive of Tempe. We'll focus on working with local rich social media influencers for Tempe campaigns instead of bringing in content creators from out of state. We're also creating new blogs and videos to promote restaurants, things to eat, public art, and other themes. We're going to develop a virtual tours for group and conference and event meeting planners. We'll continue to work with conference and event planners and decision makers and process group and event sales leads for 2021 and beyond. To Throughout all this, obviously, consumer confidence will be the key, and we'll continue to follow the latest research on intent to travel, travel trends, and we'll adjust and deploy ourselves appropriately. We're also looking to form a multicultural advisory council for the Tempe Tourism Office to help us in our efforts to reach a more diverse audience. So lots of resources and assistance has been available through several sources. Arizona Lodging and Tourism Association, Arizona Office of Tourism, Arizona Lodging and Tourism Association, U.S. Travel Association, City of Tempe, Tempe Tourism Office website, and on and on. We'll continue to keep our partners aware of all of these resources available to them. Anyway, Tempe is a terrific destination, and our team will continue to work with all of our partners to find other ways to help make Tempe's tourism strong again. Thank you for listening. Now I'd like to introduce Laura Sanchez. Laura with Rail CDC, and their guest, Laura Suarez with Rail CDC. Their goal is to create a more resilient economy with access to quality jobs, transit, housing, and world-class education for all. Laura?
Thank you, Brian. Good morning, everybody. My name is Laura. I am the Executive Director for a nonprofit organization called Rail CDC, which actually stands for Retail, Arts, Innovation, and Livability. We are a community development corporation. Next slide, please. So this is a little history about how Rail came to be. We were created in 2012. It was a group of residents, business owners, elected officials interested and passionate about the future of Mesa's downtown light rail corridor. We did start in Mesa. We were working collectively with a few organizations. We named a few here. Any organizations like LISC, Local Initiative Support Corporation, CVAC, which is Citizens for a Vibrant Apache Corridor. We work with Urban Things Project. So we are a place-based organization focused on helping businesses and neighborhoods thrive on the light rail corridor on Main Street in Mesa and Apache Boulevard in Tempe. These corridors contain census-tracked households with the lowest incomes in both Tempe and in Mesa. And as such, a large majority of the businesses we work with are owned by people of color and serve communities of color. As we know, the pandemic has shed a bright light on the inequalities that our communities of color have experienced and that exist in our communities and across the country. We are supported by nonprofits, foundations, cities, and corporate partners, which allow us to provide our services free to the businesses in our corridors without any membership requirements. Since the beginning of this pandemic, we have worked with more than 200 Black, Indigenous people of color, small business owners, and have helped them access more than $2.3 million of public funds through private grants, public grants, forgivable loans, or 0% interest rate loans. Next slide, please. Oh, just really quickly before I go on to the next step. Our mission is to positively promote policies and systems that build wealth, pathways out of poverty, and help our community grow. Next slide, please. Thank you. So how our work started in Tempe. So these are just a few of the activities that actually started our work in Tempe. Back in 2012, we started with a James Walk tour. And so this was just a tour of downtown Tempe through the Tempe streetcar in partnership with Valley Metro. We started attending the citizens, I always forget this, the Citizens for a Vibrant Apache Corridor meetings that we were attending, and that's how we started our involvement. And then we also worked with the Sustainable Communities Collaborative. Next slide, please. So Rail went from a volunteer only to a staff-run organization. So when we started continuing the work as Rail expanded, we were then back in 2012, we started as all volunteer, and in 2019, Rail received funding to hire an executive director and also to start the economic development programs to expand into Tempe as well. And so we started to do business engagement. We also we were able to then build business assistance model and lead the commercial corridor work by developing an equitable economic development plan. And so to help small businesses thrive and elevate micro enterprise businesses. So I know LISC was a really big funder and a lot of help. We've had partners like State Farm as well that have helped us develop the work that we've been doing in the light rail corridor work in Tempe, so alongside Apache Boulevard. And our corridor work is from on Apache Boulevard west of the 101, and it hits right about like Rural Road. Next slide, please. So from the beginning of this pandemic, like I had mentioned earlier, we've been gathering information from our businesses to identify their needs. Initially through our online surveys, also through our monthly merchant meetings, and then individually through business assessment and developing individual resiliency plans. The needs in March looked very different than the needs look now. In March, businesses needed to be seen and to let people know that they were open, so temporary signage was very important, and stronger online presence was also very important. What we found now is that businesses in our corridors need 0% interest loans, in many cases to restructure bad debt that is keeping them in that debt cycle. Many of the businesses we work with need technical assistance with things that we may think of simple, like filling out a loan or a grant application, or walking through city processes like applying for an extension of premise for an outdoor patio. And they need assistance with more technical things like having a website developed, having a website developed, or adding online ordering to the current website and social media platforms. So we have recently provided small business grants to businesses alongside Apache Boulevard to add temporary signage to develop their websites. Some of the grants are paying for a 1-year subscription to online ordering platforms. And with every grant opportunity, we provide access to technical assistance to make sure that they fill out the applications in a way that will give them the best chance of receiving the funding. We also developed a website for the Apache Corridor Boulevard called onlyonapache.com. And we'll be using this site to promote businesses in the corridor moving forward. So if you are a small business and on the Tempe corridor and you would like to be involved with rail, please let us know. We would love to add you to our website, and we would love to add you to the work that we're doing. So I kind of mentioned it. And so when we're looking at the LISC US Bank grants, we receive funding from LISC and US Bank to be able to provide $20,000, well, $40,000 grants for small businesses alongside these corridors. And we identified 2 corridors that needed the most work and the most help, and Tempe Apache Boulevard was one of them. And so we have been going through the process on helping small businesses through the application process with rail to apply. And we just went through our panel through our panel to make the decision on which businesses are to get funding. And so we're really excited to say that we're able to provide $20,000 on Apache Boulevard to small businesses for any type of need, like we mentioned, marketing needs, or maybe they need a brand new system for a point of sale, or they need to maybe expand and make their parking lot a little bit nicer so that they can open for patio seating, so that more people feel welcome and feel safe in these small businesses. And another thing that we mentioned, and I'll go into a little bit more detail, we were able to provide grants to give small businesses either A-frames or signage, banners, just to tell people on the streets that they were open for business and that they could do carry out or they could do curbside pickup. We've also been pushing a lot the LISC small business grants, and these are small business grants that are $10,000 for small businesses. And we've been able to sit down with the businesses, help them apply for it. It's about an 8-minute process, but a lot of us feel, and I say a lot of us small businesses feel nervous or feel like maybe we won't qualify. And so we definitely want them to feel like every person counts, their small business counts. And so we've been able to fund 2 small businesses through the $10,000 small business grants. We've been able to help over 27 small businesses receive the Check Protection Program. We've been able to sit down again and work with the lender, as well as working with the small business to provide all the documentation in order for them to feel comfortable going through that process. And so when we mentioned we've helped an estimate of $2.3 million so that these small businesses are able to receive funding. In Tempe alone, we've actually helped with $296,000 so that they're able. So a lot of the businesses on Apache Boulevard were able to take part in the PPP loan program. And currently we're working with them so that this does become a forgivable. So it becomes a grant actually. And so we're really excited about that. And then again, we've started the Only on Apache campaign, and we've been working with the small businesses to have input into what happens with that website, what happens with that campaign, and how they feel comfortable in moving it forward. And so this is just a few of the things that we're doing currently to help the small businesses in Tempe. Thank you. And with that, I will pass it over to Lori Foster from the Downtown Tempe Authority. Downtown Tempe Authority is a private nonprofit organization that works in partnership with the City of Tempe to increase the value of downtown Tempe through enhanced management, safety, and promotional services.
Thank you, Laura. Again, my name is Lori Foster. I'm Chief Strategy Officer with Downtown Tempe Authority. I'm happy to be here with you today to share with you what I've heard from the downtown merchants. Since the pandemic has started, I've spent the better part of each day in communication with the downtown merchants to find out what they've been experiencing, what they need, and how we can help. And next slide, please. I've compiled the challenges that I've consistently heard from the merchants below in a snapshot. So first and foremost, downtown merchants have experienced a dramatic drop in traffic, specifically foot traffic, due to the early closures of ASU, the office buildings, cancellation of the busy spring events, and then missing out on this busy spring season, things such as spring training. It's the busy spring that gets the downtown businesses through slow summers, so it's really been a gut punch. Of course, cash flow, if there's no customers, there's no cash. Worries about loan money, PPP loan money being depleted, and access to future loans is a worry. Of course, acquiring and keeping employees, keeping them safe and healthy is a major concern with a lot of the businesses downtown. And then there's the pile of things that I call the great unknowns that evolve daily. The constant changes to adhere to executive orders and mandates and proclamations, the health and safety guidelines, and making sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. Worry about the extent to which the office workers will return to the downtown buildings and when that will happen, as well as to what extent ASU students, faculty, and staff will return physically to the downtown district. And of course, funding, questions and worries about how much debt to take on, both professionally and personally. Will loans be forgiven, and to what extent they'll be forgiven, and the availability of grants and 0% loans and cash basically is a huge challenge. Rent relief is a great worry. Rent in downtown district and on Mill Avenue can be pretty pricey. And in the beginning, several landlords were very workable with their tenants. But as the pandemic wears on, there's pressure to bear even on the landlords. So that's a huge concern. And then of course, when businesses are allowed to reopen, will they recover? And will they return to the profitability that they experienced before the pandemic? These are just some of the challenges that I've heard they're consistently worried about. Next slide, please. So to give you a snapshot of where we were and where we are now, at the end of the first quarter, in March of 2020, there were 173 street-level merchants in the downtown district, 68% of which at that time were local and independent. To give you an idea where we are, I compiled these slides on Friday. So at that time, there were 25 businesses temporarily closed, either because it's too expensive to operate with no customers in the downtown district, or they've decided to close until school at ASU gets back in session. Approximately 18 are closed per the governor's executive order to close bars, gyms, and theaters. And 11 businesses have permanently closed, which is about 54 total businesses, representing about 31% of the downtown businesses are closed at this point. However, since I created this slide over the weekend, 2 businesses have opened. So things may be looking a little better in terms of opening in anticipation of ASU returning. Next slide, please. So what is DTA doing to help the downtown merchants? First of all, our clean and safe programs are working at full force to keep downtown clean, cleaning street furniture, keeping the plants halfway alive due to the heat. Abating graffiti is a big one, a lot of graffiti in downtown. And our safety patrol is in full force patrolling the streets, extra eyes and ears. We've created COVID merchant resource and recovery web pages that contain reopening guidance, funding assistance, recovery resources, marketing resources, webinars, and more. We are constantly promoting the merchants in our social media, in our public newsletters, of which we have a subscriber base of over 10,000 people, our website, our blogs, creation of video spotlights of our merchants to use in social media. We've disseminated a ton of information to merchants, provided connection to our local partners, to city, county, state, federal resources, and lately we've done a lot of one-on-one troubleshooting with merchants based on what their individual needs are. And maybe it's pursuit of a grant, maybe it's a place to hire employees, you name it, we try to help them out or connect them to the groups that can help them. We've worked with the city on the mayor's proclamation for the expansions of premise and for signage permits. We've communicated with the office tenants, and we've shared the status of the businesses downtown, if they're open, if they're closed, if they're delivering, if they offer catering. We've conducted a merchant needs survey and a consumer confidence survey to find out what businesses are experiencing and to find out how people are feeling about visiting and supporting businesses and when they anticipate being comfortable to go and visit different businesses. 1 hour free metered parking has been in effect this summer, as well as upon request will reserve spaces for curbside service and delivery for the merchants to make it easier for them to provide their products and services. And I have to say, we've really strengthened our partnerships with the city, the Tempe Chamber of Commerce, Tempe Tourism, and Local First. I can't say how grateful I am to have these partners on board because it's been a really great resource to help businesses in their time of need. Next slide, please. So in the works, in partnering with the city, we hope to do a lot of creative things that allow business even more leeway to expand upon the mayor's proclamation. For example, you may have seen in other cities, sidewalk cafe dining, closures of streets to expand the social distancing capability for restaurants and stores. We hope to incorporate some of that in the fall when the weather is conducive to that sort of thing. And we're really grateful to city leadership for really being open and creative to find things and explore avenues to help the merchants based on what they need. It's been a tremendous help, and I think it's the time to be bold and try new things. We're also working on a fall brunch crawl, which we've traditionally done one in the summer, as well as some themed crawls in the fall, whether it's Oktoberfest or taco crawls. Crawls are something that enable people to be socially distant and spread throughout downtown and support the merchants at the same time. I'm pleased to announce that today we're releasing Downtown Bingo, which is a bingo card that you utilize. It's online that encourages people to visit downtown merchants and other points of interest in the area. And as people fill out their bingo cards, they'll be rewarded with chances to win gift cards from merchants. So check our website for that, www.downtowntempe.com. We're also working on planning alternative and creative elements to the fall events that we produce, like the Tempe Festival of the Arts, the holiday parades, the 6th Street Market, to incorporate the latest in social distancing and health and safety protocols. So how can you help? And this is where I'm going to appeal to everyone. Think local. Downtown Tempe belongs to all Tempeans. And it's not just the place where you come to eat dinner before a game and show or pregame before a football game. This is everyone's downtown, and the downtown merchants are in need of support. There's not a huge residential population downtown, so when the office dwellers are not here, ASU is not here, it's extremely quiet, and we need the support of all residents. So support them in person, visit their shops, visit their restaurants, and also take a look at their online offerings, stores and services. Most of them are offering all sorts of great things online. Order carryout and delivery directly from the merchants rather than using a third-party delivery service. It saves the merchants a huge commission, a chunk of commission that they have to pay to the delivery services, and support catering if and when possible. Post positive reviews on Google, Yelp, and in your social media, and invite 50 of your friends to like and enjoy the things that you're enjoying about downtown when you do experience products and services from merchants. And then there's all kinds of great things like the Hound app, which Hound is a local Tempe company that's really been a godsend for a lot of the downtown merchants in their support. People buy support vouchers and find special offers. There's all sorts of ways to support the downtown merchants. So in conclusion, this is a very, very brief synopsis of the downtown merchant experience that I've heard about and talked to merchants about, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thanks so much.
Thank you guys so very much. Brian, Laura, and Lori, you guys are full of information and support and services, and we are super grateful for that. What we'd like to do now, if you haven't already submitted a question, please do. It's a great time to do that. Just go into that Q&A feature. If there's someone particular you'd like to ask that question to, please make sure that you note it. If you're an organization you'd like to hear from, we just want to make sure that we're making the right connection. With that, I know we have a few questions in the queue. Thought we'd break it up a little bit, and I'm going to turn it over to Tim. And with that, go ahead, Tim.
Hi. Hi, everybody. So there's one question in the Q&A that I think Lori might be able to answer. I think you touched on it, but the question was, how many or what businesses have shut their doors either temporarily or permanently? I know you answered that question. Do we have a list of the businesses in the downtown?
Mute myself. I keep a list of that internally, but what we do is we publicize a list of the businesses that are open and to what extent on our webpage. So if you go to our homepage, there's a list that says open status list. That'll show you who's open. I don't publish publicly specifically who's closed temporarily because honestly, it's a day-by-day things. Businesses open one day and maybe the next day they don't have employees and so they may not be able to open. So I try not to post, those short-term things. I'm happy if you'll send me an email. I'm happy to send you a list of the permanent closures and the temporary closures. I anticipate the majority of them opening once school opens at ASU. So I'm happy to share, what I know with you if you'll send me an email at lori@downtowntempe.com.
Thank you, Lori. Karen followed about the businesses in broader Tempe outside of downtown. Jill, would you mind answering that? I know you haven't spoken yet.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Great. So we don't have a specific list of those that have closed outside of downtown. Businesses don't typically notify us that they're closing, unfortunately. But we're, hoping to get more of that through some of our future surveys that we intend to do. We're doing everything we can to support the businesses and keep them open and thriving. But at this time, we don't have a list of specific closures beyond the downtown.
Thank you, Jill. I don't see any more questions in the Q&A, but I did receive an email from someone. Are there any bright spots that any of our panelists can share? Is there an example of someone or a company that's made lemonade during this time?
Well, I can speak to that. I just want to give a shout out to a couple of businesses. I hate this word pivoting, but immediately were able to just face what was happening and jump in there. One of which is Low Key Piano Bar, which is the sing-along piano bar at Fifth and Mill. They immediately went online to stream some of their entertainers and were able to pay their entertainers based on donations to that. So every Saturday night, log on. It's pretty cool. I'd also like to shout out the Chuck Box, which, as everybody knows, the Chuck Box does not take credit card. And therefore, they also don't do third-party delivery. I think within 24 hours, they had tents out on their parking lot. They had an entire setup of the ability to sell and sell their burgers, and people loved it. And they've got a huge base of support and are able to sustain themselves during this time without taking credit cards and third-party delivery. And I'm not trashing third-party delivery, that they come at a cost. Also, a shout out to the businesses that have incorporated ghost kitchens. One of the best examples is Daily Jam, the corner of 3rd and Mill. They've got 2 ghost kitchens that they run so that they're operating breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and into the late night. So some really powerful examples of businesses that have adapted to a really challenging time.
For us on Apache Boulevard, big kudos to Forma Paradise, who has been feeding the workers, in the front lines, taking care of, the people that get sick from COVID. And so, Multi is the name of the owner. She's been really amazing at, she lost, what she used to call her kids, which were the AUC students. And when the closures happened, she even though she was using those third-party online ordering systems, her sales had gone down about 30%. And so, she's really shined light on what she could do with her small business in the meantime. And so we were really excited to hear that. And then just really quickly, because I can't seem to use the chat function, the website to our Apache Boulevard businesses is only on apache.com. Thank you.
Can I add one other thing I forgot to mention? The value in a touchless downtown. I don't know if everybody knows, but majority of crosswalk buttons in the downtown district, you do not need to touch them. They happen automatically. So that saves you from touching a common thing, with the exception of the crossing at 4th Street by Rulabula. We've also incorporated the latest in technology in a lot of the parking garages and parking lots downtown. We've created a monthly parking portal that allows people to purchase, the office dwellers, as I call them, allows them to purchase their parking permits online. And in several of the garages, it will deliver it to their phone, and so they can enter and exit the parking garages utilizing the Flash app on their phone. So I just wanted to give a shout out to that as well. Thanks.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe. You remuted yourself.
Great. So just wanted you all to know too, there's some really great spots with highlights with some of our businesses that have pivoted, as Lori said, and really made lemons out of, lemonade out of lemons. So Fabric, our fashion incubator, they immediately jumped into action and got all kinds of equipment and started making reusable isolation gowns for our first responders. And they've now made 100,000 gowns. Last week they announced during this time. So we're really, really pleased with the work they're doing and proud of them. And they're supplying a lot of the hospitals and other first responders throughout the region. And they've even coordinated with some other factories in the region and out of state to multiply the capacity with which they could help during this difficult time. So it's really incredible what they're doing to help others, and they're reusable, so it's a sustainable product. And then there are a number of other businesses, which I'll mention in my presentation, that are really helping with personal protective equipment efforts throughout the city, and we're very appreciative of them.
Great. Thank you, everybody, so very much. I really do appreciate it. Those were great questions, first and foremost, and we have a lot more questions. And I think what I'm hearing from some of the questions is they're kind of concerned of why there's so much focus on downtown. Well, that's not all we do. We don't do all about downtown. We still have a couple of presenters that I know will be able to expand what's going on within the business community outside of that focus. We have, Anne and also Jill, who's spoken a little bit, but we'll be able to address a little bit more of what's happening and then see what's going on in a broader perspective with that. So if you haven't asked your question, please make sure you do, because if we don't get to it today, I promise you we will definitely get back to you, whether it's through an email or it'll be online, as this will be online after the event is over. So thank you so much for that. Our next presenters, we have Ann Gill from the Tempe Chamber of Commerce. Unfortunately, Thomas Barr from Local First is not able to be with us. I know he's had a family emergency, so I do hope everything is okay. But I appreciate Mike Peel stepping in to take his place. So thank you, Mike, for being here on such short notice. And Jill Bushbacher from the City of Tempe Economic Development Team. And I'd like to start with Ann. Ann Gill is the president of the Tempe Chamber of Commerce. The Tempe Chamber represents nearly 600 businesses with more than 70,000 employees. For more than a century, the Tempe Chamber has been a source of networking and business training while lobbying for businesses, and have always been a really great partner with the City of Tempe. So thank you so much for being here, and Ann, I'll let you take it away. Ann, we can't hear you. Looks like you're muted still.
Still muted?
There you go.
Thank you, Councilmember Arredondo-Savage. I appreciate the opportunity to be here this morning. As she mentioned, the Chamber serves as a voice of business, a catalyst for economic growth, and a champion for a strong community. I've served as the president for the past 4 years and really proud to lead an organization that for more than 112 years has been dedicated to sustaining Tempe's quality of life and keeping our community and economy vibrant. Focusing on our mission the past few months has enabled us to represent Tempe businesses at the federal, state, and local levels. And while it's probably a little challenging to put into 5 minutes the work we've done over the past 5 months, we're going to go ahead and give it a shot. So if we could advance the screen. Great, thank you. So one of the main things that we do is advocate at the federal, state, and local levels to assure that those agencies and elected officials really understand the economic damage that COVID-19 and the related public policy responses have inflicted on the Tempe business community in general, and also our Tempe Chamber members in particular. I connect regularly with our federal delegation. I have weekly calls with the governor's office, and as well weekly calls with our partners at the City of Tempe, including the Downtown Tempe Authority and the Tempe Tourism Office. And some of the examples of the work that we've done on those levels is working with Congressman Stanton on the federal level to identify CARES Act dollars for a Tempe manufacturer who was switching their line in order to produce PPE face shields. So we were grateful to get those dollars down to that manufacturer here in Tempe so they can continue to provide those shields. The state level, working with the governor's office to continue to provide updated guidance, specifically recently the Series 6 license closures, letting them know that a blanket policy was not the way to go, was impacting restaurants who, for one reason or another, still had a Series 6 license, but weren't necessarily the bar that he was trying to focus on. Within 24 hours, they had released updated guidance based on that, our feedback to them. And locally, a Tempe logistics company, they're an official FEMA ventilator distributor for Maricopa County, and they needed to get approval from the city for a temporary certificate of occupancy, in order to receive these ventilators. So worked with the community development director, and within 48 hours, that company was able to receive those needed ventilators for our community. We're constantly educating through numerous webinars. Since March 20th, we've been providing small business disaster planning webinars on almost a weekly basis. Everything from understanding the different SBA loan opportunities to the HR requirements with the new Pandemic Family Medical Leave Act that affects all businesses, not just those with 50 employees or more, and ways for businesses to grow their digital presence in today's changing environment. Proud of the work that my team has done to quickly create a one-stop shop of vetted and accurate information for our members and the community on our website COVID resource page. It also includes, what Tempe businesses are providing during this time. So whether they're offering free telecom services, free advertising, or PPE, it's kind of a one-stop shop. We have a service industry Facebook group for our businesses and the community to connect. And I think the thing that we hear the most from our community and our members is that they know they have one place to go to find the information they need regarding the pandemic and economic recovery. They don't have to rely on Google searches or trying to do their own research. It saves them time and money. Whether we're connecting the CEO of Hound to the city of Tempe to help bring about the Buy Now, Save Local campaign, or introducing them to the CEO of Desert Financial to help implement small business emergency loans. This is similar to previous programs on which we partner with the city. We're constantly working to help our members solve their problems. We're proud, as I mentioned, to partner with DTA and Tempe Tourism on these efforts, and the spirit of collaboration is so strong and vital to Tempe's recovery. We've helped connect our local nonprofits to donors and volunteers, as well as funding opportunities. For example, one of those resulted in helping feed 100,000 Tempe families through those connections. And the connections we've had have really run the gamut, from connecting PPE fabricators to hospital supply chains, to helping a local company open up their restrooms, because our transit drivers during the initial stay-at-home order didn't have anywhere to go in order to utilize a restroom. So really trying to solve all these different problems that have come up along the way. And so if we could go to the next slide. We're constantly using survey data, member feedback to really guide our efforts. We serve our members and the community, supporting economic prosperity, launching new problems, and reaching more businesses, and providing them the critical information they need to help respond. We've been using data to really direct our efforts and contacting our members directly to find out their immediate needs, as working with our East Valley Chambers to conduct a series of surveys to keep a pulse on what our businesses are facing and how we can help. New data shows small business owners have growing pandemic concerns, really reinforcing the need for Washington to provide more help. I continually provide policymakers with up-to-date data on how our Tempe small businesses are doing, which certainly bolsters the need for Congress to pass a relief package that prioritizes our small businesses. While recent polls have some good news, such as 86% of small businesses having reopened, it also shows some headwinds that 67 or 65% of those small business owners are concerned about having to close their business in the wake of perhaps a second coronavirus wave. The most common actions that they're having to implement now that are causing some stress on their financial situation is additional supplies to prevent shortages, updating their website, increasing e-commerce and their PPE purchases. They're really concerned about the financial hardships due to prolonged business closures, and more than half are worrying about having to permanently close their business. Those who laid off employees see months before they can rehire. Small businesses are more likely to report having fewer employees when compared to before the pandemic began. And among those with fewer employees, 48% said it could be anywhere from 3 months to a year before they anticipate rehiring most of their employees. With regard to the PPP forgiveness, 64% have expressed concern with how the process will work when they have to submit applications to the SBA at the end of their loan period. Nearly 2/3 are concerned about meeting the criteria necessary to receive loan forgiveness. So the comfort small business owners have with their cash flow, 55% are reporting some satisfaction. So that's a low number. If we can move forward with the slide. Some small business expectations that we're hearing, 53% still remain optimistic about future revenues. Small businesses are now more likely to report plans to increase their investments in the upcoming year than they did last month. More than half of small businesses will believe it will take 6 months to a year before the business climate returns to normal here in Tempe. Manufacturing, retail, and professional services are reporting plans to increase investments in the upcoming year, and I know Jill's going to talk a little bit more about that. And as far as long-term hiring expectations, those are on the rise. More small businesses expect to increase their staff in the next year compared to what they were talking about last quarter. 30% plan to increase, 53% plan to retain the same size staffing, with 9% planning to reduce. Next slide, please. So kind of where we are going future forward. Continued advocacy effort at every level of government, specifically with the next coronavirus relief package, liability protection against unwarranted lawsuits. Timely, temporary, and targeted liability relief will provide our employers who follow public safety guidelines a safe harbor from those unwarranted lawsuits and while holding those bad actors accountable. Support for small and mid-sized employers. While the CARES Act provided broad support to all industries, we really need to have targeted relief for those industries that have been tremendously impacted or shuttered because of the social distancing requirement. Also advocating for financial assistance for childcare and our school systems. The reopening of the economy and schools obviously has to be safe and guided by public health. Child care providers are confronted with increased fixed costs to implement public health guidance and declining revenues. So we need to provide targeted funding to meet these temporary demands, ensure that schools and child care providers have the resources necessary to safely reopen. Unemployment benefits and funding for job training. So with more than nationally 17 million unemployed, there needs to be support for the unemployed while aiding in the return to work, and provide funding for states to help implement rapid reskilling and job connection programs to assist those businesses and employees likely to return to their old jobs, maybe perhaps find them new employment. And also advocating for assistance for our state and our local governments, our Tempe governments. They're experiencing sharp reductions in revenue, and at the same time, they're facing increased costs to respond to the coronavirus. So those are some of the things that we'll be working on a federal level and continuing with that advocacy. Always continuing our educational opportunities based on what our members need and what our community needs. In fact, we're launching a Tempe Business Academy next week to really provide that pandemic and economic recovery information and resources, utilizing experts so that our businesses can move forward and recover. Also working on the PP loan forgiveness and see what we can do to get Congress to forgive those that have PPP loans of $150,000 or less. Excuse me. One of the things that we're looking on implementing is a community pledge to really help support Tempe's pandemic and economic recovery. It's left a significant unforeseen effects on our local community, and we understand that together we can get back on our feet quicker and reclaim Tempe. So having a community pledge that folks will take action to act in accordance with governor's orders and the Maricopa County Health Department, seek out new ways to support the Tempe economy, shifting their spending locally, and also sharing that with family members and friends, and encouraging people to really focus on Tempe businesses. So similar to what Lori was talking about, and taking that to the broader community. I've also been tapped by the U.S. Chamber to serve on an education assessment and accountability working group. And so the debate ensues on how schooling will resume in the fall, and administering statewide assessments will be a challenge in these COVID times. So given some of the forecasts for student learning loss, how we can attempt to identify which schools and students are in need of additional support, as well as we are part of a national initiative with the U.S. Chamber to address that inequality of opportunity. So driven by data and being informed by conversations with our businesses, government, academic, and civic leaders, partnering with U.S. Chamber on this to advance private sector solutions and best practices, scale impactful programs, and drive policy action to help close the race-based gaps in 4 areas, specifically education, employment, entrepreneurship, and criminal justice. And so this is going to be the focus of our leadership conference, which is coming up on September 18th. And so in closing, next slide, Tempe businesses have made extraordinary efforts to ensure residents have access to limited supplies, meals, food, critical services, and more, and to protect and provide for their staff. At the Tempe Chamber, we are working to help them meet immediate needs so they can successfully navigate the health crisis recovery. And while stay-at-home mandates may have categorized businesses as essential and non-essential, these distinctions don't define the importance of all our businesses to the Tempe Chamber. Their owners and employees, they're our friends, they're our neighbors, parents, church members, charity volunteers, and so much more. They drive our local economic engine, and every single one of them is essential to us. So we will continue to monitor the situation and its impact on our businesses and the community. And our commitment lies with serving with all of you in any capacity that we can during this unprecedented time. And as a trusted source of information for our business community, we want to continue to keep you informed by providing the resources you need to help keep your employees safe and healthy. And in closing, Tempe businesses are the backbone of our city's economy and the spirit of building Tempe's future. And our workplaces are rapidly changing, and how you all conduct business is evolving faster than ever. And the Chamber is proud to be your partner with an eye always on the horizon, listening and anticipating your needs and the challenges and opportunities that await you. Thank you. And with that, I have the opportunity to introduce our next speaker, Mike Peel, the Sustainability Director for Local First.
Thank you for the introduction, and I'm glad to be here on behalf of Local First Arizona to talk about what we're doing to support local businesses during these very challenging times. Next slide, please. So first of all, why localism? Well, as Local First Arizona, our work is to strengthen the local economy and ensure that there's more diversity and inclusion, connection to place, more local jobs created with the multiplier effect, where more dollars are retained in our communities due to supporting those local businesses and ensuring that we're able to be stronger when there are shocks to the system, like what we're dealing with now, being able to create stronger localized systems as a result. So I'll talk about all the services that we have in place and what we've been able to add to our set of services already. Next slide, please. So how we help small businesses, what we're known for, we're first off known for expert-led education. And in that way, we work with our business network as the largest local business network in the country here, right here in Arizona. We work with our experts to develop workshops and videos, business articles, how-to guides, anything that we hear based on the needs of our members, we're developing it in real time like that. Second is the connections that we make for the businesses in our network with other businesses in our network and our partners to create really a stronger localized system. And also our directory is a personalized, highly searched business listing for those businesses, and our digital opportunities to grow the brand through our far reach with our following across social media and on our website. And three is marketing with clout. So we have our exclusive banners, our badges and logos to help tell that story, to be proud to leverage your localness and be that local business that people are seeking out. People want to support local. We've been able to drive a lot of that, but it's really because of the network that we drive it to be as big as it is, to be that local first, localist network that it is. There's also our upcoming events and our website that has all of that information. Next slide, please. Thanks. So how we also help small businesses is amplifying their reach from the social media posts and blogs to media outreach and newsletters. We're able to get that word out and make it a much larger network as a result. And we have such a following for that buy local movement, looking for that latest information. If you're not following our social media, please do, because I think you'll find that daily there are updates to connect to these local businesses, to connect to our webinars, to connect to our opportunities for exciting new events around what these businesses are doing. The second, and I should say, with the events, we've been able to go virtual from the start to provide these opportunities online. The second on this slide that I want to talk about is individualized consultations. So we've been scheduling one-on-one phone consultations with Local First team members from the start to know what the real-time needs are and ask questions about well, typically it's about the available resources that we do have, and then advice about challenges that the businesses are facing and connecting to our partners. We're also big on advocacy, and we're doing everything we can on a regular basis to elevate the needs that we're hearing to our local leaders, our elected officials. Next slide, please. So our reach is significant. We have 3,000 plus members, 450,000 social media followers, 62,000 monthly searches to the website, 10,000 monthly blog readers, 35,000 newsletter subscribers, 28 staff, and 4 statewide offices. I'm also the Southern Arizona director, so I'm glad to be able to represent statewide and in Southern Arizona. And we also have over 400 media mentions in 2020. Just in 2020 alone, we've been able to increase our membership and our reach this year with our daily actions in reviving small business. Next slide, please. So the benefits of membership, one is listing on the directory. We have 75,000 searches a month. The second is the digital education through the local learning lab with business blogs and videos. We have access to a one-on-one consultation, as I mentioned, connections to professionals in our network to help your business, branding materials so you can be that proud local business, and that really does help connect to new customers and engage your employees. Access to online business Facebook group to connect with small businesses statewide. That's very active, and we encourage you to join. If you're not already, get right connected to that Facebook group. We have our Shop Arizona e-commerce site for retailers about to be unveiled. Really excited about that. And we have our annual campaigns to drive awareness to small businesses. And we have our digital calendar to list your experiences and opportunities. So I wanted to open up to any questions that the group might have, or if we could save that for after. Either way, glad to answer questions about all that we're doing. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Michael. We're going to hold on to the questions. We've got one more speaker.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for being here. Let's see. What I'd like to do now is introduce Jill Bushbacher. Jill Bushbacher is with the City of Tempe Economic Development Team. The Tempe Economic Development Team works to not only attract new businesses to Tempe, they also work to help businesses find state incentives, expansion opportunities, and more. Currently, the city has several programs to help local businesses dealing with COVID-19 related issues. So with that, Jill, I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Next slide, please. So as you see our mission, and as Councilmember Arredondo-Savage said so well, we're focused on not only attracting, but also retaining and growing high-quality jobs and investment here in Tempe. And in 1920, which ended on June 30th of this year, we added about 6,300 jobs with a capital investment of about 190 million. To give you some context, the previous year, we recorded about 5,300 new jobs and 107 million in new capital investment. So these numbers primarily reflect growth in our targeted sectors of bioscience, advanced business services, software as a service, and advanced manufacturing. But we certainly work with a variety of business across all sectors. Those are the ones we most frequently target and record as it relates to our economic development metrics. Next slide, please. So as we saw the COVID-19 pandemic begin to impact our community and our business community, and in particular, after the shutdowns started in March, we put our heads together, we talked with our partners, many of which are on this webinar with us today, and we put together a 100-day plan to help our small businesses in particular weather the impacts, because we knew that small businesses would be most impacted in this current environment. And we looked at what other communities are doing in other parts of the country, as well as to some of our peers in the region. And the kinds of things that we've been able to launch during this period include business assistance webinars on a variety of topics related to improving your marketing, making your cash flow go further, using all the tools available from federal and state and local programs to help with grants or loans. The Buy Now, Save Local voucher campaign. We helped some of our manufacturers that, as Lori and others talked about, pivot to make PPE during this time to help out with our first responders and others in need of those items. we created a microloan program with our partner Desert Financial Credit Union. We worked on a marketing campaign in which we continue to push to help promote our small businesses in the community. And we created a business resource website that's regularly updated with new information and tools to help businesses in our community. Next slide, please. While you've heard a lot today about retail and tourism and some of the definite difficulties in those segments, as some mentioned earlier, there are some bright spots. So I want to highlight some of those too. Again, you know, even in just this first month of the new fiscal year, we've recorded 700 new jobs in advanced business services, software as a service, and manufacturing sectors in our community alone. So that's good news for our community and for the region. And just want to make sure and point that out. And then, as some have mentioned previously as well, many of our businesses have really stepped up and done tremendous work in creating personal protective equipment for our first responders and others. One of those companies on this list here I want to give a specific shout out to is Beaumaris. They're really incredible. They typically make these bandages that are that have healing properties to them, and surgery centers use them and other doctors' offices use them. Well, they were able to now create masks out of antiviral material, and they're just working on their FDA certifications on those right now. So we're very excited about that. But they're just one example of the many companies in our community that are making face shields, that are making isolation gowns, that are making masks and sanitizer as well. So we really appreciate that they, you know, added on to their capacity and kind of changed their business model in such a short time to do really great things in our community and beyond. So we're very proud of those companies and appreciate all the work they're doing. There are a lot of companies, or several companies, still hiring, believe it or not, some of which are listed there: ADP, Freedom Financial, State Farm, MUFG, and others. And we're working with our partners at County Workforce Development, at Best Companies AZ, and others, Pipeline AZ, to try to promote their positions and get the word out on a regular basis about the hiring that's going on by Tempe companies. So there's some really great news there. I just want to highlight some of these bright spots for you all today. Next slide, please. So the Buy Now, Save Local program, many of you have probably heard about already. We worked with the partners and we're able to create this campaign to support our local businesses. And through Hound, which is a Tempe-based business that has an app that helps accomplish the goal of supporting local businesses by buying service vouchers or kind of digital gift cards, if you will, through this campaign for our businesses. And it's what's been great about it is even for those that had limited service or have been closed at certain times, folks can still go on and support them through this app. And the revenue for those businesses is immediate, and it costs nothing to the merchants because we were able to get a generous contribution from our Tempe Industrial Development Authority, and also use a combination of that with some city funds to pay for the merchant fees that normally the businesses that participate would have to pay on their own. So we're very excited that we've been able to work together and launch that. And that's still up and running and will continue to run either through March or until those funds are expended and the merchant fees. And so we still have plenty of funds in that account and are able to support many more businesses that want to participate in this. So we're very pleased to have folks participate in it. You see the website there if you're interested in learning more about it or signing up for it. Again, it's no cost to businesses, and it helps get immediate revenue and extend your marketing efforts as well, because they work closely with you, with your email list. They have access to a lot of additional consumers that they push messages out on your behalf too. So it's really a great tool. Again, we have a new business resource page that includes a lot of tools and resources, and we update it on a regular basis, tempe.gov/coronavirus. And one of the things I just wanted to point out at our site, in addition to, because there are many resource pages out there right now, one thing that's unique about ours is we have downloadable signs that you can use. relating to the mask ordinance, relating to social distancing. If you're not, quite sure how to go about that with your customers, we have the graphics there so you can print those. You can send them to a printer and have them professionally printed. And if you have any questions about any of the resources on that page, we're very pleased to answer them, and we're glad to have you give us a call or send us an email. Next slide, please. So what are we doing next, or what are we working on now, and what's under development? We're working on an opt-in internal business directory. So it's a way to reach out to you and communicate important information. If we've learned anything during this time, is that communication is key. And our businesses need information, want information, and we want to communicate as much good quality information to you as in a timely way as we can. And because we don't necessarily have a business license or a specific other way to contact you, this is one way that will help us add you to our list and make sure that you're included each time that we send out information that could help you in your business. So we'll be launching that shortly, and stay tuned for that. Something else that we're working on, and which we're hoping to receive approval of council funding for later this month, is a small business safety supply program. That we know that small businesses are struggling during this time with so many new requirements and expenses and difficulties. And this is just one way that we might be able to help ease the burden a little bit, and be able to use our vendor contracts with better pricing that we receive for some of these items and distribute them out to the small business community. So we envision including things like sanitizer and masks and those kinds of things that you could use for your customers and or your employees, and distributing those to you, hopefully once this program is funded. Next slide, please. So another program we're working on is we're working on a business grant program, and we're working with a consultant to help establish that program. We're hoping to get that consultant onboarded and get them working on a focus on financial inclusion within the program, as we know that's very important in our community, and addressing the needs of our small businesses, accessing funds to support reopening and hiring here. We just know that, cash flow is really, really important right now for our businesses. And so this is a key program that we're working on currently, and we hope to have good news on that shortly. We're looking at alternative funding mechanisms to support this program because we aren't able to use general funds, and we don't have CARES money that would be able to fund such a program. Next slide, please. So just another, hopefully a bright spot for some, is just to remind you that there's still over 100 million in SBA Paycheck Protection monies available for small businesses and others. And, the small business, by the way, administration definition of a small business is 500 or fewer employees. So that covers a lot of folks. And those monies are still available. And if you're interested in more information about how to apply for that particular program, which it's a forgivable loan if you meet certain requirements, the website is there, you see. And it's just available for a few more days, but want folks to know that hopefully there'll be some new programs that will be passed shortly by Congress, but know that this is still available at this time. And if you have any questions or need help applying for these, we have some great resources to help you with that. We can answer a lot of those questions. And then we also have good relationships with the local SBA office and the Small Business Development Center that can help you with this item as well. And one last thing I just want to point out, our Community Development Department has a project assistance team, and they work closely with our businesses as well. They're another resource for you all. If you're looking to extend your patio space, for example, or you need any kind of help with plan review and permitting, they're really there to hold your hand and walk with you through that process. And if you'd like more information about them, of course, as well, please feel free to contact me. I'm glad to connect you to them and any of their resources, because we know however we can smooth the path and make your experience easy, we want to do that because you have a lot of other things to consider right now. And with that, I thank you for this time and look forward to participating in questions.
Great. Thank you, Jill, so very much. I mean, thank you to Ann, Mike, and Jill for everything that you guys continue to do and to share some of the resources that are available to our community. I'd like to go to a couple more questions, and yes, so I'm pretty excited to introduce him. But for now, let's do a couple questions. And just remember, if we don't get to your questions today, I want to be really true to the time that we have allotted. But I do want to take a couple more questions, so I'm going to turn it back over to Tim Gomez and address a couple more questions that are in the queue. Thank you, Tim.
All right, so this is a question for Jill. Has the city of Tempe done anything like how Phoenix did by allocating $15 million to assist small businesses, or are they deferring taxes or fees without penalties?
That's an excellent question. So as I mentioned, we didn't receive the same kind of funding that they did. They had the ability to do that because they received CARES Act funding as a community of 500,000 in population or more, and we did not receive that, unfortunately, and we're not allowed to do the kinds of things they did with that money with our general funds. There would be some violations of state law, in fact. So what we are doing is we are working with a consultant and looking for other alternative funding modes to do a grant program. And then, as we mentioned, we were able to find some funds to be able to do the Buy Now, Save Local campaign to help with marketing efforts for your business and to help you generate some immediate revenue with the gift voucher purchases. And we're finding some success in that program, and we hope to expand it further in the fall as well.
Great, thank you. The next question is for the general panel. What is being done to help and support shutter businesses, especially those that were not bad actors and can social distance, but happen to have a Series 6 or 7 liquor license?
Yep, so that's something, this is Ann, that we've been working on as well. And I think that business really needs to work with the liquor board, because if you have a certain percentage of your revenue that comes from food and not primarily from alcohol, there is an opportunity for you to look at that updated guidance and see if that fits. I would also consult with your attorney just to make sure that you're following the guidelines. But there is updated guidance that was released after the initial executive order on the governor's executive order website. But happy also to send that out as well.
And we have one more final question. What is the best resource for accurate information in regards to PPP?
This is Ann again. Sorry, I did just put it in the chat. The SBA website has everything in regards to the PPP as far as the criteria, the loan forgiveness. There's also an easy application for the loan forgiveness depending on the size of your loan, as well as a traditional one. But that's the most up-to-date information is direct from the SBA's website. I don't know, Jill, if you had anything. I saw your hand up. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, I would just add that there's also a list of lenders for the program on the SBA website. And if anyone wants to call or email me, I'm glad to walk you through what some of those resources are and how to navigate it. It is a little bit of a complicated website. And then there's also some advisement available. They're official advisors for the program at the Small Business Development Center and at the SBA Phoenix office, and we can connect you to those specific individuals that advise small businesses on the application process and the ins and outs and tips to be successful in it. But please feel free to reach out. Glad to help you with additional questions on it.
And then this is Brian, the Arizona Lodging and Tourism Association and Arizona Office of Tourism also on their websites have resources available to procure those.
And Rail as well could help with any questions. We've done quite a few already, so we can definitely help guide you.
And same with Local First Arizona.
Right, thank you guys so very much for answering some questions. I know actually did remind us that the Senate is working on another stimulus package too, so something to definitely keep our eyes upon as we move forward. So thank you, Councilmember Cooley, for that. Much appreciated. Now, I know there's still more questions in the queues, and we're trying to answer them as they come in, but I will tell you, this will be a platform that we'll be able to utilize. So please continue to send in your questions. We will make sure they get answers. We want to be that connector to make sure that if you have questions or you need a resource, we want to put you in touch with the right people. And obviously, you can see from this panel, we have a lot of really great organizations, wonderful individuals that are here to assist you and want to make sure that you're successful. So what I'd like to do really quick now is introduce someone who everyone is probably becoming a little bit more familiar with if you don't already know him, and that is our mayor, Mayor Corey Woods. He has always been a premier supporter of our local businesses. Corey definitely, I would say, has probably had the most interesting start ever as the mayor of Tempe, between train derailments, personal case of COVID-19, guiding the city's response to enhanced safety measures, and bringing stakeholders together for our community dialogue. I would say that's quite a busy month in anybody's standards. So thank you, Mayor Woods, for being with us here today. Would you like to say a few words to our community?
Sure. Thank you, Councilmember Arredondo-Savage. Just wanted to thank all of you for being here today and just for putting on such a great webinar. The reality is, as this was talked about right in the beginning, because I was on right from 8:30 to about 9:15 for another call, but the thing is, our small business community really does make up the backbone of everything we do here in the city of Tempe. And we know that right now, these have been exceptionally challenging times, kind of with the advent of COVID-19. And so whatever we can do to make sure that we are supporting you and being a resource here at the city of Tempe, our doors are always open, our phone lines are always open. And I know just, having a champion like Councilmember Robert Arredondo-Savage on your side, working to make sure that we can facilitate these things, to share ideas and concepts. That's how we're really going to make sure that we help people survive during this time and that we continue to even emerge even stronger than we went in. So I'm really excited about the future for the city of Tempe. I'm really excited about the future for our business community. I just wanted to thank you all for your involvement. I mean, it really is because of you that we have such a thriving business community here that really does make up the heart and soul of everything we do. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Woods. We really do appreciate you being with us here today, just taking a moment out of your morning, because we definitely realize how important our businesses are to our Tempe community. And thank you for everyone for participating today. Thank you to our panelists. I can't tell you how important, like the mayor said, these conversations are. They're so vital to bringing us together and really closing the communication loops. It's important that we continue the dialogue and keep each other informed the best that we can. So Mayor Woods, myself, and our council colleagues will utilize these conversations to help us form strategic decisions to best support our business community as we move forward. I think we all know that currently the world is full of uncertainty. Every day you're not really sure what's going to happen, but I know that we can be certain about one thing, that we are all in this fight together. And I want to reiterate that, because I look at our panel and I want to say we are all in this fight together. Many of us are struggling, but I do believe that we can come out of these times stronger, and we can come out stronger if we're together. Then I'm determined, part of what I'm very passionate about is I'm very determined to work hard to make sure that that does happen. So if we weren't able to get to your questions, like I said, we will have staff follow up with you via email or a phone call. And if you think of additional questions, maybe today or later tomorrow, please send an email to Timothy_Gomez@tempe.gov, and we will make sure we get back to you and connect you with the right resource that you're looking for. We will also be posting a recorded version of the conversation online and via social media so that you can distribute it if you'd like. So feel free to reach out to any of us that were here today on today's panel. And first, I want to just say thank you to our staff that helped pull this all together. It's an ever-evolving world, and I can't tell you how many webinars you probably have all done, but I want to say thank you so much. We couldn't do it without the great staff that we have with Alex and Tim. Thank you guys so very much for that. And our excellent PIOs, Chris Baxter, I got to say this was her brainchild, and we were certainly happy to hit the ground running and couldn't have done it without her. And a huge appreciation to our our business partners that you see right here on your screen. Thank you so much for your continued work, for your support for our business community. It doesn't go unnoticed, and I am very grateful for what you do every single day to make Tempe the best place that it could be. So again, I just want to say thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Thank you for those that logged in. Please remember to utilize this as a platform. Reach out to us. We are here for you. We are going to continue to evolve and do what we can to meet your needs. So again, thank you for what you do, and stay safe, everyone. Thank you.